Hello, everyone. Welcome to the undergraduate webinar series, an interactive online platform connecting high school students to the Ashoka community. My name is Rinda Tandon, and I work with the Office of Outreach at Ashoka University. All right, so thank you for joining us today for the webinar on undergraduate admissions. Since the deadline for round 2 admissions to Ashoka's undergraduate program is approaching soon on 10th January, we want to help answer any queries that you might have. Joining me today are Benji Lokikon and Madhuri Lalwani from the Office of Admissions and at Ashoka University. Together, we will be addressing some of your queries on the Ashoka undergraduate admissions process. Before we begin, I would like to inform our audiences that you do not have to wait for the 12th board marks or CUET to apply. You can get a confirmed offer of admission and financial aid even before your final board results are announced. Without further ado, let's get started. Audience, kindly type your questions in the Q&A box on your Zoom screen and we will take them up later. All right, so I think without further ado, let's just begin with a few questions that we get as FAQs, guys. And thank you so much, both of you, for joining us today. All right, so the first question, in fact, is that one question I think that we want to begin with, because this is one thing that is going to keep coming to us constantly during this entire webinar. So let's just begin with what are the benefits of applying in round 2 and what is the deadline for applying in round 2? Ben, I think we can start with you.
Yeah, right. So, like Vrinda has said, the deadline for round 2 submission is the 10th of January, which is 2 days away from today. Now, the benefits of applying in round 2 is that you will get a confirmed offer of admission if you get through the admissions process, even without your 12th board marks. So, that's one benefit. You do not need your CUET or your 12th board final exams to get a confirmed offer of admissions. And apart from that, you can also apply for financial aid from round 2 onwards. If you apply early, you will be able to apply for financial aid early. And we offer very good aid to our students who apply. So please do not wait. Please submit your applications and apply in your round 2.
Thank you. All right, so Madhuri, I'm going to be asking the next question to you because this is one question that I have answered constantly over the years, but I still get this question again and again and again. Is there any application fees that is attached to the Ashoka application?
No, there is no application fee. And I think this is because Ashoka is very committed to an inclusive form of education and also really an inclusive application process. So there is no application fee, and I would encourage everyone to apply since this will not be a constraint for you at this stage.
Excellent. Okay, so girls, the next question, in fact, is something that I think both of you can answer from your own perspectives because you're both an integral part of the entire application process because both of you are, in fact, who go through these applications and talk to these applicants and have been doing that for a very long time. So, I mean, students have asked us that is there something that they should keep in mind, some points that they should keep in mind while they're filling up the application form. So I think Benjilo, you can begin and Madhuri, you can follow.
Yeah. So as you may be aware, the admissions process at Ashoka University is holistic. We look not only at the academic scores of the students, but also their extracurricular activities and their other interests, apart from whatever subjects that they have engaged with in school. So while it is very important for you to fill up your correct marks for your 10th, 11th, and 12th, we also encourage you to sincerely fill up the extracurricular activities section in the application form and also the essay section, which will give us an insight into some of the things that motivate you. It will give us a wholer view of you as a person. So my advice would be to engage with all sections of the application form as genuinely as possible and as thoroughly as possible because we do look at all aspects of your application form in order to shortlist you for the interview.
And just to add, there are qualitative and quantitative sections. More specifically, there are more objective sections, like you see your personal details, your parent details, school details, and things like that. And on the other hand, like Benjalo just mentioned, there are also subjective sections like your essays and things like that. So you can actually take your time filling the objective sections and then sit to really, think about the essays and as well. And also make sure to use your personal email ID. I think this is very important and we cannot emphasize it enough because the admissions team communicates primarily through emails, right? So if you use your personal email ID, you will be able to receive all communication from us. Yeah, so that's mostly it.
Great. See, which is why I knew that you both can answer this question and it was not just for one person. Okay, so I think the next question, again, we're going to be dividing it further for the both of you because this is something that I have answered in a lot of different ways with a lot of different groups. And I think I can't reiterate more that we don't have a single mold and we're looking for X, Y, Z and whatever. But I don't know, but this question keeps coming back. So very quickly, what does Ashoka look for in a student? And I think Madhuri, you can begin and then you can follow.
Yeah, as I think Benjalo just spoke about how Ashoka has a holistic admissions process, and by which we mean that there is no one specific area that we kind of give more priority than the rest, right? And the same goes for the application process. So as much as you may feel that your academics are very important, there are also other facets to the application form, like your non-academic aspects. So we really do want our students to be interested in multiple fields, given that Ashoka is also has an interdisciplinary undergraduate program, and also students who are really open to learning in case they may not have explored any of these fields in the past. Yeah, and I think as far as it comes to the whole application process, just really students who are willing to honestly and genuinely attempt the whole process. Yeah, so that would have a brief bit from me. Benjalo?
Yeah, and in addition to what Madhuri has said, um, at Ashoka University, we look for students who are diverse and we are an inclusive community. So there is no one mold of student that is like the perfect Ashoka student. Ashoka community, the student community is what it is because of its diversity as well. So having said that, it is, however, very important that our students are open to learning. And given that Ashoka University is a liberal arts university, if you're applying to Ashoka University, I think you should have a fair idea about what liberal education is, what it offers to you, and what it can do for you. So just have a good understanding of liberal arts education and yeah, just be open to learning, I think.
Of course, and I think words like flexibility and openness to understand and accept is something that we have been not just talking about, but we actually follow. Because all three of us have, so both of them have met students before they've entered the university. I have worked with them after they've entered the university, so I can vouch for the fact that anybody and everybody who's just being themselves and just sharing what they have in their minds and letting us know who they are is I think one thing down for us, right? And you can correct me both if I'm wrong anywhere, but I think this is something that I have seen. And good job, guys. All right, so very quickly, you both talked about how inclusive we are, and we want to be acceptable in terms of in terms of everybody's socioeconomic diversity as well. So here, one of the biggest assets that Ashoka has is our financial aid program, right? So I think that you can begin with this. How much financial aid can a person avail while they apply to Ashoka?
Right. Right. So, at Ashoka University, we are committed to making world-class education accessible and affordable to students from all walks of life. So it's not just students who can pay, but a lot of students who need financial aid or who need assistance are given the opportunity to avail the resources that we offer. So financial aid is granted to everyone who needs it. It is need-based and not merit-based. So anyone can apply for financial aid. It ranges from, let's say, a tuition fee waiver of 25% to it could go up to a waiver on your tuition fee, your residence cost, and your meal cost. So there is a range of aid that financial aid office grants, but it all depends on the family context, the need of the student. So if you get an offer of admission, the financial aid form will be open for you, and it is open only for 5 days. So the time period for you to apply for financial aid is quite limited. So what I would encourage you to do is to go to our website, check out the financial aid form that is there on the website, and just be ready with all the documents that the financial aid office will be asking you for, because um, it is imperative that you submit your financial aid form within the deadline to avail the aid that will be granted to you.
And I think just to add, I think at Ashoka we encourage everybody to apply. So usually students or parents may have perceptions of who can apply or how much financial aid is a good amount. And in that sense, I think everyone should check out the form. And the one more thing to mention is that financial aid forms go live after students receive an offer. So this is not something you need to also worry about at the application stage. Okay. Yeah.
Right. So I think I'm just going to sum up whatever both of them have said. So in very, very simple terms, your entire application process is need blind. We will not even see your need. It's only and only on your merit, basically, whatever you've been able to achieve with the sort of opportunities that you've had, right? Number one, your financial aid process is merit blind. We will not look at the merit aspect, but we will look at the need aspect at that point from your family's financial context. And that's how we take it, right? So do not deter yourself from applying if you think that financial aid is not going to happen and you might not be able to afford it. Because for all those who are actually listening in, Ashoka has been very, very fortunate, and over 4,500 students have already benefited from this financial aid program at Ashoka in the past 10 years. This is our 10th batch that came in this year. So you could be one of them, right? Okay. So, all right. With that, let's go to a more technical question. Now, we're a liberal arts college, a liberal arts university, and the term arts is somehow stuck with us. But not everybody is skilled, although we've been talking about it for years and we've had science courses with us for years, but still, does Ashoka have science courses? I think I'm good. Open this question to both of you, whoever wants to start. And is there a scholarship that is attached with the sciences at Ashoka? So whoever wants to begin.
I can start with this one. So
Sure.
we do have science courses. If you do really understand what a liberal arts education means, right? It means holistic education. So it doesn't favor anybody to do holistic education selectively. So the science courses that we do offer, the majors you will be able to opt, which are science oriented, are physics, chemistry, biology. There's also mathematics, computer science, and you also have psychology, which if students do, they get a BSc honors in psychology. And we do have a merit cum means scholarship. While merit cum means scholarship, just to clarify, works a little differently than the financial aid form or the need-based financial aid that we do have. The merit-based scholarship has only recently come into existence. How it really works, you can really look up all the details on the merit cum means program on like the website. But really, the essence of it is that the financial aid team reaches out to students who may reach the eligibility of the merit cum means scholarship. But really, the purpose is to encourage a lot more science participation and engagement among students and support that as well. So that's largely what I have to say to this.
Yeah, and in addition to what Madhuri has said, there is a limited number of scholarships available for the science cum merit scholarship. And like the name suggests, it is based on merit as well as on the need of the student. You would have to have done your sciences in your 11th and 12th and attained a certain percentage to be able to avail the scholarship.
Yeah. All right. And just to add on to whatever both of them have just said, so Madhuri was kind enough to list all the BSc courses that we have. So just to add on to that, in fact, biology, chemistry, and psychology, although these are BSc courses, these are in fact open for all students. You can be a commerce or a humanities student. You can be a PCM student who was interested in biology at some point but had to leave it for some or the other reason. You can actually get back on that wagon, because for us, like I said, biology, chemistry, as well as psychology, although BSc courses are in fact open for all. regardless of whatever you've studied in 11th and 12th. All right. So with that, I think we're going to move to a very, very technical question. So this is a question, guys, that we keep getting a lot because somehow the world thinks that we have an entrance exam. First of all, let's clarify what is the Ashoka Aptitude Assessment, and is there any preparation that you people require for it, right? So I think Benjilo, you can begin, and Madhuri, you can follow.
All right. So the Ashoka Aptitude Assessment, it has been developed to evaluate the critical thinking skills of our students, of the applicants. So it, it is divided into two parts. The first is the Ashoka Aptitude Assessment, which will consist of 40 questions, all MCQ type of questions, and it will revolve around your problem thinking skills, problem solving skills, and your critical thinking skills. You can do the assessment with minimal preparation, and there's no negative marking to any of the answers, so you do not have to worry about giving us the wrong answers or anything. And there's a sample assessment test document available on our website, so you can have a look at that to understand the types of questions that we will ask. But again, please be assured that this can be done with minimal preparation, so you do not have to worry about that. And the on-the-spot essay, again, which is mandatory, and as the name suggests, it's an on-the-spot essay writing. You will be given 2 prompts, and you will have to choose 1 prompt and write an essay on that prompt. Again, that will not require any preparation. But if you want to know the types of questions that we ask, you can always go to our website to check out the types of questions that you will get.
And I think just to add, the assessment for round 2 is on 21st January. And I think everybody should kind of note that while we do not require like a lot of preparation, it really, giving the sample will give you a gist in terms of what are the questions that you can expect or what are the kinds of prompts that you can expect.
Of course. And guys, just to reiterate, it is not an entrance exam. There is no negative marking. What it is basically an added opportunity because you're submitting your application without your board marks. So we're giving you an opportunity to tell us that what is your aptitude and if you will be able to do justice to the rigor, academic rigor at Ashoka or not. So you don't have to be scared of this particular assessment and then wait for the later round so that once you just get free mentally, you would want to do it. There's minimal preparation required, number one. Secondly, it's a Sunday. 21st of January is a Sunday. The portal will open in the morning, it'll stay open till the evening. You just have to take out 2 hours of your day, sit for the assessment, and you're done. That's it. And even if you don't do well in your aptitude assessment, we still give you a benefit of the doubt, right? Based on the rest of your profile. So with that, let's just take it forward. All right, guys. So now let's get to some more concentrated questions. Now, what we're going to do is we've answered some FAQs. We're going to be taking some more concentrated questions so that we can get as many questions out as possible so that none of them go out with more doubts, but with more clarity. It just helps. All right. So, very quickly, so there is this one student who's asking that my academic scores are mediocre since in the application, other than grades, we only have ECs and LOR and essays. Are these enough to compensate for a poor grade? I mean, is there a group of students on campus who have an average grade? So,
Okay, so
yeah,
like we have been saying, our admissions process is holistic. So your grades, while they matter, also do not really matter if you have done well in your other aspects of the application form. So and again, at Ashoka, it's not about rote learning, right? And in a lot of schools in India, there's a lot of rote learning, which could mean that some students do really well, and if you're not good at memorizing, you might not do as well. So since at Ashoka we do not do rote learning, a lot of the classes will be research based on your interest. So you will also get the opportunity to pick and choose the subjects that you are genuinely interested in and pursue them. So once you do that, I think it's not really about the grades, but how well you have engaged with the subject matter and how you are going to use that in the future in your life as well. So I think that would be my response to that. Madhuri, please add some more.
No, I think you've pretty much covered it, so I'm good for now.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. So I think the next question is pretty straightforward. Somebody's asking that so would the 12 board marks affect the overall application? I think Madhuri, you can take this question.
Like the simple answer is that no single part of the application is more important than the rest of the application, which is why we really emphasize on students taking the time and effort to, equally for each section of the application. And also because everyone's strengths and weaknesses are different, right? So
Yeah.
we have this apparatus to accommodate those differences. And I think instead of fixating on, let's say, one thing that someone might feel isn't their strongest suit, they must focus on how they can let their personality and their individuality shine through like other parts of the application or
Yes.
admission process as a whole.
Perfect. All right. So I think we're done with that particular concentration. Very quickly, guys, you do not need your 12th marks or your CUET results to apply for Ashoka. You don't have to wait for your 12th board results. In fact, our second deadline, which is 2 days from now, you've not even sat for your board exams, but we have our second round deadline. So you do not need your results to apply for Ashoka. All right. So now coming on to some external examinations. Um, so is SAT or ACT mandatory, Ben?
No, SAT and ACT and CUET are not mandatory, but if you have ACT scores or ACT scores, you can always add them to the application form because it will add to your application, but they are not mandatory. And if you don't have the scores, you do not have anything to worry about because we also have the Ashoka aptitude assessment that takes place, which will sort of make up for you not having the SAT and the ACT scores.
Yeah. So there is another question that has come in, which I think I will answer, which says that is the Ashoka aptitude assessment mandatory? It is mandatory. Even if you have an SAT or an ACT score, you will still have to sit for the aptitude assessment. So it doesn't matter if you've given the SAT or if you've not given the SAT, and you don't necessarily have to keep waiting for the next set of SATs to happen, and then will you give us the scores, and then will you apply? Doesn't matter. If you don't have it, don't worry. Complete your application and submit. It's all right. Okay. 1 second. All right. So. All right. So now we're coming on to extracurriculars and co-curriculars. In the section of co-curricular activities, can we mention our engagements in international competitions during middle school or achievements have to be from 12th grade itself? Like, what is basically the timeline of this? And I think I will add a question to this. What is the relevance of this particular timeline that we have? Because I'm on the inside, so I know the relevance, but I think let's just open it out for the audiences that why do we tell them to use a particular timeline when they're sharing any sort of extracurricular activities with us. Who would want to take this, guys? Either of you? Okay. Do you want me to take names now?
Yeah, no, it's okay. Madhuri can take this.
Yeah,
Madhuri, I
yeah,
think you have
sure.
to begin.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So the reason that we have, first of all, there are two things to keep in mind. There is like a time like range that you can add. There's also a range of engagement. So a lot of students may have engaged at the school level, personal level. So the engagement range starts from the personal and like private or just as an hobby or an activity, right? To the school, and then you have state, international, and things like that. The idea is that we care about all your engagements outside of academics, regardless of what level that is. And again, like while you may think that, if there's some activity that you've engaged in middle school or really early on in life, I think the relevance should be decided by you in case you're still engaging in it, right? And that's where if it's like something that you engage with it and informs you till today, then that would be really important for us. For example, if you're learning music for like 20 years or like, at least as far as you've come. So that's really the essence of how we look at it. Benjalu, do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, and like Madhuri said, we want to see if you're still engaging with the particular activity that you have mentioned. So, um, you might have won an award in middle school about such activity, but just see if you are engaging with that activity in the present, um, and see if you can use those activities at a college level too. So make sure that it is a relevant activity.
All right. Okay. So I think another question that we do get as FAQs, I think, which I will ask you. What about the certificates? What is the timeline of these certificates that these students can add? Should they also start from the very early ages, or do you want them to send you the recent ones? What is the, the requirement there? So,
I
Ranjita, do you
I
want to?
think it can vary from based on how long they've engaged with the activity, what is the nature
Yeah.
of the activity. The best way to go about it is if you have way too many certificates, so you think you have three, four, equally recognizable certificates, you can put them together in a PDF file and sort of present them to us. And at the same time, while we do understand that not everyone may have certificates for all their activities, you can also, let's say, for more personal activities that they may have engaged as in their own personal space, they can also add pictures and also present just some proof that they have engaged with that activity in the manner that they've described. Yeah.
Course. Right. I think I'm gonna add something here, guys. So first of all, not all your activities are gonna have certificates, and that's I think what Madhuri meant, that whatever can add value to it, that can show us that you are engaged in this particular activity, maybe writing about it, maybe sharing a few videos, pictures, whatever that you might have, that will work. So you don't necessarily have to keep waiting for certificates that are stuck somewhere in some office or some school dorm, and because the schools are shut, you can't submit them right now. It's okay. Just let us know that you were engaged in that activity, and whatever proof you might have for it, that works for us, right? And I'm going to be their advocate right now because I know that these guys have seen this. Don't share a lot of certificates for one activity. Please don't. Okay, somebody is actually sitting and reading your form cover to cover, right? So you have to prioritize as to how many certificates do you want to put. Please don't give them 20 certificates for one activity because then it takes them that much time to go through every certificate. So that is why I said I'm just being their advocate right now. Just submit whatever you prioritize and you think you would want them to see in whatever light that you want to present your particular application in, right? Okay, so those were our FAQs from the extracurriculars. Now let's go on to, okay, something which is very important and something that has been coming back to us again and again, is the LOR, right? Number one, and I think Vegilo, you can answer this question: are the LORs mandatory?
Right. The simple answer is no. The LOR is not mandatory. Did you have a follow-up question, or should I continue?
No, I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
So, who can I ask to write my letter of recommendation, and what is it that you're looking for in an LOR? These are two questions. I think Madhuri can take the second half.
For sure. I think the anyone who has engaged with you in a professional capacity, right? So do steer away from giving it to your friends, your cousins, really anybody from your family, and try to stick to someone that you've worked with. And this doesn't necessarily have to be work in terms of an internship. It can also be your subject teachers, school teachers. The idea is that we just want to know insight on how you engage with the kind of work that you do. So I would say that anybody that you've engaged with in a professional capacity can be like your guiding way to understand. And also, I think LORs are deeply personal in terms of who is writing the LOR. So I would say that you may not even have any agency on how whoever you've selected is writing your LOR. For example, if I want to put someone's name for my LOR, the LOR link will be sent to them directly. So you are not involved in this process. So I think the maximum contribution we need from you is to tell us who is it that you want them, who is it that you want insight from about you. And you can also let them know in advance, right? So they can look out for this email and get back to us.
Right. So, Ben, I'm going to ask you one question, which I think is very, very important. What do you think is a good LOR? Because sometimes these students have to have a conversation with their teachers as well, right? And sometimes even the teachers get stuck, or anybody who's writing the LOR. So, what is a good LOR in terms of whatever you've seen till now?
Okay. So, at least for me, what I think a good LOR is a recommendation letter where we get to know something about the student that the application form will not tell us. So a lot of times, an LOR can look like the CV of the student or the applicant. They will list all the accomplishments that the student has had, and keep in mind that the students have already filled up these accomplishments in their ECA section, even under the academic section. They have mentioned all these accomplishments. So we do know that this student is well accomplished, but we would like to know something about the character of the student. We would like to know that this character is, has the aptitude to do well in a liberal arts university like Ashoka, has the aptitude to get along well with people, can flourish in different circumstances. So I think something about the personality and the character of the student will be a good LR.
Nice. All right. So now the next question I think about the LORs, I'm going to take because it's a technical question. It basically says that what is the deadline for the LOR? So first and foremost, the students do not submit the LOR. Madhuri's already mentioned it, but I'm just repeating it so that it becomes very, very clear. Number one, LORs are not mandatory. Okay, so you can submit your application without it because if you notice, there is no asterisk in the entire LOR section. So even if you just leave it blank, your application will still get submitted, right? Because whatever is in asterisk and is not been completed is not there. Of course, the application will be stopped. So your application will not be stopped. LORs are not mandatory, number one. Secondly, your LOR is not to be submitted by you. So you don't have to wait for your school to get back to you with an LOR or with a particular letterhead or something that you might have to get signed once the school's open. You don't have to do that. All you need to do is reach out to your recommender, ask them for their email ID and their details, especially their email ID that they'll be looking at right now. Uh, just take that from them, put those details in your application form, and you are good to go. That's it. They will have time till the 17th of January to submit your LOR. So they have ample time even after the school reopens to submit your LOR, which is till the 17th of January. So this should not be one of your hindrances to stop you from submitting your application right now because um, you don't have to do anything. You just have to give us the details of the recommended and that's it. Right? Okay. Anything else that I think both of you would want to add about the LORs or I think, or are we good?
I think we're good. Yeah, I think
We're good, right? Okay, perfect. So, oh, sorry, we have a follow-up question. So, would it affect my application negatively if the person who's recommending me doesn't know me from a very long time,
no, not at all. That's the short answer.
right?
It, because the letter of recommendation is not mandatory. You'll have to keep in mind that it's not mandatory. So, the duration of the recommender knowing you and all that
Yeah.
will not affect your application in any way.
Right. Perfect. All right. Now let's come to. All right. So I generally call it the gray area of the application form because the rest of the form is very black and white. It's like whatever you have, you're just putting it in the form, but your actual brain capacity is used in the essays. So I call it the gray area of the form. Okay. Now let's come to the essays. So there is somebody who's saying that I am not a very good writer. I have never written essays in my life. Uh, so what is my scope of getting into Ashoka? Okay, Ben, I think you can start. And if Madhuri wants to add something.
So you just have to keep in mind that this is not a test for assessing your creative writing ability. We just want to know how you think and how you engage with matters or topics or issues that concern you. So this is like a window for us to into what you think and how you think. So the way you write will not really affect your application form. As long as you're writing it genuinely and honestly, you should be fine. Um, there are a lot of students who use the help of ChatGPT, and we read a lot of application forms. We read a lot of essays. So all the ChatGPT essays look the same to us. So just be careful that you know while you might take the help of ChatGPT, just be careful that your originality is there. We want to see how you think, and how you can engage with social causes and issues that matter to you. Madhuri?
I think the essay section, while Vrinda, you just described it as the gray area, is also the most personal section of the application, right? It gives you the opportunity to give us the most insight on how you think, how you really build on what you think,
Yeah.
right? So I would say steer away from ideas of what a good essay looks like, because the focus isn't on like your flair or it's not about how eloquently an essay is written, but it's really about how genuinely an essay is attempted, how genuinely has the person really engaged with it and reflected what they think about it. Because if you're trying to write a good essay, then you can also keep in mind that all our essays would then be looking the same, everything that we're reading. So this gray area is also your opportunity to make it more black and white and really tell us who you are and be as true as you are in the rest of the application.
Nice. All right. So I think the next question is a little more important because the first thing that he said in the do not part of essays is do not plagiarize. I mean, do not copy from anywhere because we will know. So there's somebody who's asking, and it's a very mindful question, in fact. It says that if one wishes to fill in their essays, one wishes to fill their essays with some quotes, data, and statistics, it won't pass the plagiarism check 100%, right? Would you still consider this essay in that case? And I think let's give them a solution for this more than just a yes or no answer. So basically, if somebody wants to add maybe quotes or data points or statistics, how can they do that? Let's just give them that.
For sure. I think I can start with this one.
Yeah.
So it's really about how genuinely they're attempting it, right? So my ways to approach a question would be, how greatly does this quote impact my approach in the essay? So it's fine for them to use quotes or data or statistics, but make sure that the essay is more than just how well you can gather this information from different sources. So yeah, we would get, like, in the sense that we are reading all the essays end to end, so it's that we will take into consideration that you said, okay, this is quoted by some person, right? So you can mention those things. I really don't think it would discredit your application just because you've used certain sources. What I would say, mindful of, just be transparent about the sources you're using, so we can also differentiate it from things that you've written. And it gives us an opportunity of really seeing how you further some thought from a quote, or how you are inferring from those statistics or data. So yeah.
Yeah.
Angelo?
Also, you can put your quotes in quotation marks. That tells us that you have directly picked this from this particular book or this particular author. Tell us as this author says, and then the quotation. Also, when you when you give us data and statistics, I'm sure you're getting them from some source or the other. So just tell us that you've gotten this data from this source, and sort of give credit to stuff that you are taking from.
All right, I think that sort of answers the entirety of it. So thank you so much, both of you, for doing that. All right, one second. I'm just looking at the questions. Okay, so now so we've sort of answered the application part. Of course, a bigger portion of the application is still pending because I feel the application is the one thing that takes a lot of time and effort more than the rest of the process sometimes. But the next portion is, in fact, the aptitude assessment and the on-the-spot essay. Now we've answered the technical questions of the aptitude assessment, that is it mandatory or not, because it is mandatory. It is on the 21st of January for round 2. Now let's understand, so when you've already talked about the aptitude assessment, that it has critical thinking and it has logical reasoning. We've talked about minimal preparation at it as well. So a student is in fact asking that I'm a humanities student. Do you think I will be able to do it or not? Or does it have a lot of technical questions that I might not be able to answer? So, Benito, do you want to answer this question?
Yeah. So, like I said, it's an MCQ question, and it will be problem solving also. So, I think this will help you give an idea of how to approach the Ashoka aptitude assessment. You will be able to attempt the questions fairly easily. That's what I think. Madhavi, do you want to add some more?
No,
No.
not really. I think you're good. Yeah.
All right, so
Right.
I think I'll add something here. So guys, these are case-based questions, right? Again, this is an aptitude assessment. We're not trying to assess what you've learned over the years because we are an educational institute. We're actually getting you in to teach you. So of course, we're not going to be testing you for every ABC, XYZ things that you've learned over the years. It makes no sense. Plus, not all of you are applying for the same discipline. And you're also not thinking in the same perspective. So we can't have everything like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and it's not going to work like that. It doesn't. So the aptitude assessment is not something that you need to be scared of at all. Again, it is mandatory, but it is not the final deciding factor for your entire applications, right? Now let's go on to the second part of the aptitude assessment, which is the on-the-spot essay, right? So when we say the Ashoka aptitude assessment, students generally think of just the aptitude assessment, but what they don't realize is that in those 2 hours, only 1.5 hours is the aptitude assessment, and the next 30 minutes is the on-the-spot essay. So we have a few questions on the on-the-spot essay. Uh, right. So there is this one question which says that does the main essay in the form entail having already made contributions to social issues, or can one emphasize their plans for future contributions? So basically, I think what the students are trying to ask is what are the kind of questions that we ask in the on-the-spot essay, and what are they supposed to write in that? So it's a very flowery language, but that's what I've understood out of the question. So I
I
think
can
Madhav,
take
you can
this one. Yeah,
perfect.
there are two aspects to the question, right? So the question
Yes.
asked about the social issue is about the application form, because the first essay in application form is about social issues and how students have engaged with it. Please do understand that any engagement for any part of the form, it does not mean that you have to have done XYZ amount of things for it. So while we do understand that there may be students who have, let's say, worked for the course in some ways or the other, they have done internships or they've worked with NGOs. There are different ways of engagement. They might have written research papers or anything like that. If there are no ways that you have engaged with it, but it's still very important to you, I think there are ways to think about engagement. It comes down to, have you read certain books about that cause, right? Are you like, what is the kind of research you've done? Why is that important to you? So that is equally important. And I would say you can also include future contributions as well. Now, coming to the on the spot essay, that, like we just discussed a little earlier, that there is no particular format of a good essay. And I would just say that I think there are a lot of different essays that could be good essays. And I think the way in which you write could be equally good. And I think simply thinking of it as a way of, if it's a 30-minute test, do understand that our primary focus is how much are you engaging with the prompt. There will be two prompts. You can select one of them. So already you are able to choose a prompt that you're like a lot more comfortable with. And then you can talk to us about how do you think about it? What are your thoughts on that idea or concept or whatever that is being asked, right? So I do think that the on-the-spot essay is the reason that we give them 30 minutes to work with it, and they kind of write on spot. Is it's as vulnerable as they think about something. It's fresh thoughts right off their mind. And I would say that the focus is really on how truthfully you're engaging with that idea and how much can you present that in 30 minutes. Yeah, so that would be it from me.
Nice. I think that sort of covers the entire thing. Ben, do you want to add anything about the on-the-spot essays?
No, I think Madhuri has covered it quite well. So yeah, they should be good.
Perfect. Okay. So just to reiterate, guys, again, this is an on-the-spot essay, but this is also online. You're not going anywhere. Just like the application form is online. Just to tell you, the entire application process is online, right? So the application form you're filling in online right now. The on-the-spot essay and the aptitude assessment on the 21st is also from home. You don't have to go anywhere. You can be in the comfort of your home, start the aptitude assessment, sit for 2 hours, and you're done. Now, I think with that, we've sort of covered the on-the-spot essays as well. Okay, now let's come to the next part, which is the interviews. Okay, so what I've done is there are a lot of questions about the interviews. I think it is one space where students are a little confused and a little taken aback for some reason. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep clubbing questions so that everybody's questions are answered today. Right. So how can I increase my chances, number one, to get into the interview? That is number one. And basically, students have constantly asked, how do we get shortlisted for the interview? How can I look for it? But I think both of you have already answered this question when we asked about what are we looking for in a student for Ashoka, right? But is there anything else that you would want to add on to that, do you think, or was that enough?
So I think as long as you fill up the application thoroughly and well, there's a very high chance of you being called for an interview because we go through each and every application form with minute detail and look at every aspect of the application form. And we want to give a chance for interview to all the applicants who apply. So we do look at all the sections thoroughly and shortlist, yeah, the best
Okay.
one from there.
All right. So with that, I think the next question is a little technical in nature. So I think either of you can take this. So it basically says that when will we hear back if in case we've been shortlisted for the interview? Is there a timeline in place that you have? Because we will have our board exams in the middle of the, in the middle of this process. So, and is there any flexibility that is available for us during this entire process?
Yeah. So after your assessments, it will take some time for the shortlisting process for the interviews to happen. But if you do get called for the interviews, you will be given the option to choose any slot you want. So while I understand that the CBSE board exams will be going on during that time, I think,
Yeah.
you will be given the option to be able to choose any day that you want, starting from 10 a.m. in the morning to 4:15 in the evening. And the interview slots are for like 45 minutes only, out of which the interview will be for about 25 to 30 minutes. So it will just take about 30 minutes of your time, even during your exams, to do the interview. And also, during the interview, you won't be asked like right or wrong answers. There will be no grilling questions. It's not an MCQ kind of a test where you have right or wrong answers and we're checking or anything. It is more like a conversation where we are trying to get to know you because we have gone through your application form. We feel like we know you a little bit, but we would like to know you better because your application form has intrigued us and we would like to get to know you better. So that's why we would like to have this conversation with you to understand your interests, to understand how well you have engaged with your interests. So if you have filled up the application form well, then and you're thorough with your application form, there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to prepare for the interview because it's just a conversation.
Right. Perfect. So I think just to reiterate what Benito just said, so basically, guys, this is a process where we understand that you'll be in the middle of your board exams. Not just CBSE, but even ISC will be in the middle of their board exams, and we completely aware of it. So what has happened, and this is not the first time that we're doing this. We've been doing this for 10 years, and since 10 years, the second round has landed in the middle of the board exams, right? So what happens is you are given multiple options of dates and time slots. You choose the one which is the best for you. Just in case none of them are suiting you and you have exams before or after those days, then in that case, in fact, I have seen the admissions team being very, very flexible and giving you dates and times that would suit your requirement at that point of time. We've even expedited the process so that we can get over with a major chunk even before you sit for your board exams, right? We will try our level best to do that, but at least even if that does not happen, they will make sure that you are not hindered at any point of time during your entire process. Your interview will be taken according to your requirement at that time, because we're not trying to bother you. We are trying to and we are sort of an inclusive university, so we are understanding that way, right? So I think that's sort of mm, right. Okay, so who will be in the interview panel, and is it a panel or is it one person that we taking this particular interviews? This has been asked multiple times by multiple different people. We're only asking it once.
Madhuri, you can take this.
I think it doesn't matter who is in your interview panel. At the end of the day, these would be people who are there to, assess you. and really understand whatever you said with, give this opportunity to give a little more depth. So I think it really doesn't impact the conversation in any way based on who is on your panel. I would just say stick to whatever conversation you would have as truthfully. It would just have to be the same no matter who is on your panel. But yes, there would be members of the admissions office and some others. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so with that, I think we've covered interview questions as well. Now, somebody's asking that I'm applying for BSc. So am I only eligible for the merit cum means scholarship, or can I apply for the financial aid as well? Who would want to take that guess?
Yeah, so you can apply for the financial aid first, and then once your 12th board results are out, and if you have done well, and if you have qualified for the merit scholarship, then you will be shortlisted. So then you will be able to apply for the merit scholarship. So just apply for financial aid. If you get financial aid, your merit scholarship will be adjusted according to the financial aid you have received. So there's no harm in applying for financial aid. Please apply for financial aid, because if you're waiting for your 12th results, and if the 12th results are not in your favor, then you might miss out on the merit scholarship and the financial aid as well. So please apply for financial aid.
Okay. Now there is a question about a gap year student. It's a very different question. I've never seen this. So there is a person who's been interning for the past 2 years in a particular very good company that I will not name right now. So will that be considered gap after 12th, or is it, I mean, what will we consider that to be,
That would be gap year.
right? Okay,
Yeah,
and
in the description, you can tell us what you have been doing during the past 2 years. So you can talk about your internship, if you have had any academic engagements as well outside of your school while doing internship, you can mention that as well.
nice. So there's one more question about a gap year from a gap year student, but I'm gonna add another question to it because I've had multiple conversations around it as well. So, does being a gap year student affect your application negatively? And I think, rather than just saying a yes or a no, I think we should tell them that what will help, uh, you know, how can they come over this entire inhibition of being a gap year student? So, I think Madhuri, do you want to start with this? And I think Benito can add in
Yeah, for
Christianity.
sure. Just firstly, it does not negatively affect your application to be a gap year student. You do need to understand that everyone's needs or reasons why they, have taken a gap year might be different, which is why the description box is the most helpful tool for you to express to us what are the things that you've done in your gap year. And I think we have certain apprehensions in general that, it may mean that someone has not caught up with their academics and things like that. But really, the gap year as a year in itself would be a lot of room and time and space for someone to explore a lot of their other interests. It could be academic, it could be non-academic as well. Really, what have they been excelling, and what is the reason that has kept them from, taking or actually has been the reason why they've taken a gap year. So I would say it really does not negatively affect your application, and you should apply. And I think we do really care about why you took that gap year, and we take that seriously. Yeah.
Excellent. So, we are done with a lot of questions. We've, in fact, managed to answer most of them, guys. So I'm just going to go over the entire Q&A box for a minute. Give me 30 seconds. I'm just doing that. All right. Okay. So this one's important. How are predictive scores given by individual schools been considered? Because each school has its own way of giving those scores. That's number one. Secondly, what is more acceptable, a school predicted score or a self-predicted score? So I think Ben, you can start, and the school versus the self-predicted score, Madhuri can take later. So Benila, I think you can begin.
Right.
How do we look at predicted scores? Let's just begin with that.
Predicted scores give us a fair idea of what you are aiming to, accomplish in your 12th final exams. While we are not entirely dependent on your predicted scores in our decision-making process, they do come in handy, because even if you do not get a confirmed offer of admission, your decision could be deferred, which means that if you meet the predicted scores, the scores that you're predicting in the application form in your 12th finals, then you will be getting a confirmed offer of admission. So please do not use the predicted scores section as as lightly as possible, because that is something that will give us an indication of what you are expecting to get. And if you get a deferral of admission, your predicted scores will determine whether you match the predicted scores with your 12th final scores. That will determine whether you get a confirmed offer of admission. And there are many different boards, right? So like CBSE, some CBSE, IGSC schools can give us the school predicted scores. Cambridge and IB will give us the counselor predicted scores. The counselors will be sent links to give us the predicted scores. So that's how that works.
And I think, yeah, just to carry on from that, just because we're working with, let's say, scores like without the 12th final scores, right? So your predicted scores are an opportunity for your school to tell us how well you've been doing so far. That's why your school and your academic counselors come in really handy. People you have met in school that, authority in school that can really vouch for your academic progress. Yeah, your academic progress so far. And I think the reason why predicted scores from a school or an academic counselor are not as are an option, and you also have an option to self-predict scores, is because we do understand that not everybody may have access to these opportunities. So not everybody may have, let's say, a counseling center even in their school to do all of this. So in that case, I would say the best way to go about even deciding what your self-predicted score should be is sitting down with your class teachers or your subject teachers and really having a conversation with them and understanding what your scores what you can present as your self-predicted scores. I would say there is no one over over the other. Even in the case where you give us your school predicted scores, which would go to your counselor and they can enter it, in that case, you also have an opportunity to enter your own scores. So it's just two different ways of approaching it. I would say it's always better to get something from your school if they have such a service or opportunity that they do give their students. But if they don't, I don't think your self-predicted scores would negatively impact your admissions process.
Yeah. And guys, just to reiterate, if this was a problem for us, we wouldn't have given this as an option. We completely understand that sometimes there are some technicalities around it. Like, for example, your school is off at some point, the letterheads are not available, your principal or your teacher is not available at that point of time. So we completely understand that you will not be able to give us a school predicted score, or your school does not give a school predicted score. So that's completely understandable. So in that case, or in any case, if you just want, or the school predicted score that you've received, you're not very happy with it, you don't want us to give that score, I mean, you can submit a self-predicted score. First of all, we trust you. That is one thing. Secondly, you don't need an attachment for it, because the moment you press on the self-prediction option, the attachment section becomes non-mandatory. The asterisk removes itself, right? So you don't have to wait for your predicted scores from your school or your institution to apply for Ashoka. So if you don't have a predicted score, it's all right. You can just self-predict if you're a CBSE or an ISE student. Of course, for IB and for Cambridge, counselor predicted scores become mandatory. But if you're a CBSE or an ISE student, you can apply without your school predicted scores. It's perfectly fine, right? So I think with that, we've covered the majority of these questions. There are no questions that I think which are very, very pressing right now. We've tried covering everything, I think all aspects of the application form, of the process, and you guys have been amazing. Thank you so much. But before both of you leave, I think any last minute tips that you would want to give these students? I think Benjiro, you can begin, and Madhuri, you can follow.
Right.
Anything that they should keep in mind, anything that you think will help them in the next 2 days?
Don't overthink the application too much. If you have, filled up most of the application form, please hit submit, because it really helps also not just us but you as well, for you to have like a confirmed offer of admission even before your 12th results are out, even without a CUET, just to have the assurance that you will get financial aid even before your 12th results are out. All these are assurances that I'm sure you would like to have. So please do not worry about the application form too much. Submit the application form on the 10th of January. If you do not have a letter of recommendation, please do not worry about that, because that's not mandatory and that will not affect your admissions process in any way. So yeah, I would highly encourage you to submit your application forms.
And
Yes,
I think
Madhuri.
just to add, just like Ben said, it's really not about while there are a lot of aspects to the application form that may feel very daunting to you, do take it one at a time. Some parts of the application will take you less time than the time you spent in this webinar. So while I'm grateful that all of you have joined, do note that the objective sections of the application are really just facts about you that you will have handy. Take some time thinking through each part of the application. And I think, I would really highly encourage everyone to apply. There are a lot of optional parts of the application, like we've discussed, the LOR, SATs. And so do make sure that, those are not the elements that are stopping you from submitting the application.
Excellent. I think I just add my 2 cents here, guys. If you just stop your application here, when you're done with the majority of it, you're just going to be sitting on the application till the third round deadline, which is somewhere in April. It doesn't help anybody that you actually keep thinking about it. And just like Ben said, don't overthink. If you're done with the majority chunk of your application, you have the next 2 days completely, because our deadline is in fact 10th of January, 11:59 p.m., which is literally 2 days and a few more hours before that. So you can finish off your application if in case you want, and we're all reachable whenever you need our help. So yeah, I think with that, thank you so much, both of you, for being here. I really, really appreciate you both taking out the time, because I know you're like very busy right now. But with that, we come to the end of today's session. Thank you for joining us. We hope that this webinar was helpful in understanding Ashoka's undergraduate program and the application process. We would really appreciate if you could take a minute to share your valuable feedback with us. The link to the feedback form is provided in the chat box. Please note that the recording of this session will be available on Ashoka's YouTube channel in case you would like to share it with your friends. Before we end the session, I would once again like to inform our audience that the deadline for round 2 of the undergraduate program is 10th of January 2024. I would encourage students to apply in round 2 and get a confirmed offer of admission and financial aid even before their final board results are announced. For more information, you can write to us at ugapply@ashoka.edu.in or contact us on the numbers given on the screen. This brings us to the end of this session. Please take care of yourselves. And thank you so much, both of you, once again.